Hi, you guys. It is 11/24, May 14th, 2020. And I'm coming to you guys because the Most High gave me a dream vision. I received an experience last night that I wanted to tell you guys about. And nowadays, it's been going on for a while. Sometimes I have something that's not really like a dream. It's more like a vision that I'm able to interact in. I can talk to people and respond. So it's very real. So I think it's a thing in the spirit world. At this point, I don't even feel comfortable calling it a dream when it happens. And it's not necessarily, it could be a vision, but when I first started, when the Most High first started giving me visions, I could only see things and I wasn't involved, but now I'm involved. So I'm going to explain what happened early this morning, late last night, to as best as I can. So when I went to sleep, I had this experience where it was like I was walking in a Target, like the Target store, and I was on my way out of Target. You know how Target has those 4 or 5 doors that you can just exit. I was walking, and before you get to the exit to the left, it's always like the customer service place. I was walking toward the exit, and I was walking quickly with haste. I don't know why I was walking so fast, but I was leaving this Target place, and I heard one of my cousins and a friend of hers calling me. They kept calling me, asking me about a book exchange, and I wouldn't turn around. I ignored them. I just kept walking. It was like I had some task or something, like something else was more important. I completely ignored them. I didn't respond. I just kept walking as fast as possible. It was like I was on a mission. So then a third person called me, and I stopped immediately. And I'm not sure why, but I stopped immediately, and I was almost out of there, but I walked up to the customer service office, or the customer service desk, and the girl that was behind the counter was a very wicked woman that I have known for a few years, and I don't know how she is now. When I knew her, she was a very wicked woman. And then my cousin, she came up to the counter and she put a thin red book on the counter. And I looked at the book, and the girl behind the service counter opened the book and she started reading it. And she was like, "Yeah, this is the right." She was telling my cousin, "This is the right book." My cousin was basically saying that, I have the original book and this is not it. This is not the real book that I bought. You guys sold me something else. This is fake. This is a fake book. This isn't the real book. So the girl working behind the counter opens this thin, bright red book, and she starts thumbing through the page, and she's like, "Oh yeah, no, this is the book. You got the right book. This is the one we sell." So my cousin then pulled out this very large, old book. It was like if any of you have seen really old books, like if the book was meant to be white, it changes to this color, like a beige or almost a yellow or something like that. And the pages were not made in the thin red book. The pages were like pages you see now with photos and stuff like that. The pages in this old book that my cousin pulled out were old. It's like they were made of parchment paper or hemp or something. These books were totally different. And the book my cousin pulled out was much thicker. It was more than twice as thick as the red book. So my cousin was telling the girl, "You guys sold me, trash. This isn't the book that I paid for. This is just what you gave me. Where's the rest of the book? Like, where's the real book?" So as we were standing up there, I remember looking at this book. Really did look ancient, the one she pulled out. As we were standing up there, I was staring at the 2 books, and I wasn't actually saying anything. And I remember looking at the pages of the old book. The edges of them were brown, like it was a really old book. It had a lot of wear and tear, but it was still in good condition, like someone had kept it sealed away for a long time. And I was just noticing this book, and I was wondering in this experience, I was wondering, like, I wonder how old that book is. So anyway, what happened next was I turned and looked to the left, and there was a man, and this man was wearing these like royal blue pants, this like a royal blue shirt with a jacket or something. It was like a one-piece shirt, and he had a golden eagle head on. It was like a I'm trying to think, like a headdress. It was more than a mask. It looked like it was made out of gold, and it's something that went over his entire head, and it was huge. It was wide. It looked like the real proportion of an eagle. It had like golden sunken eyes and like diamonds for the eyes. It had all these jewels and all these decorations and fine linens that made up this huge type of mask. It was more of a headdress because it covered the front of his face, the back of his head, all the way down to his shoulders. And even though he had this huge mask on that looked like it weighed 50 pounds, I could still see his face through. It was like I could see his face anyway, even though he was wearing this eagle mask. And I looked at his clothes, and he looked like he was from, I don't know, a royal family or something. I could tell he was a king, or maybe like a king of war or something like that. And when I looked at his face, he reminded me of like an Arab person from the past, or like maybe like an Ethiopian person, like a lighter skinned black person. And I realized, well, first of all, when I saw him, I could tell that he was a very wealthy man. I was like, wow, I wish I knew him. You know, I bet he could help anyone become very wealthy or very rich. But I was nervous to talk to him. I was kind of afraid to talk to him because it was a man in the middle of Target wearing king clothes and an eagle mask. You know, I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I think he's the one who called me, and then I stopped and went over there to that desk. But he walked, and then he was like behind me, and he was just standing there watching in this eagle mask. And I would turn back and look at him, and he would just stand there and watch. And then I would turn back and look at the girl at the counter while she was opening the ancient book, and she was telling us, oh yeah, this is the real book. This old book is written by Luca. She gave a first name or something, but I don't remember what it was. I can only remember her saying Luca. And I thought about it, and I realized, I think I seen this man in this eagle headdress before. Even though his face was covered, I could still see his face clearly. And it's almost as if I was the only one in the Target that could see him. So he just stood like behind me. He was probably 10, 15 feet away from me, like standing behind me watching. And every so often I would look back and look at him, and he would just stand there and watch in this eagle mask. So I was like, okay. And then I realized something. A few years ago, I had this vision. It was a very quick vision. I think I was laying in the bed, and I just closed my eyes, and I saw this man in all white clothes. He looked like a man from olden times. He had like a long white type robe on, and he had a white turban on, and he had a beard. He was like a lighter skinned black man, and he looked at me. And when I looked at him, I smiled at him involuntarily. It's like I didn't have a choice. I had to smile at him. And he smiled at me. And he had this energy about him that was very righteous, or like very excellent. I didn't know who he was. This was a very quick thing. I opened my eyes, and I was confused because I was laying there smiling. I didn't know who this man was. And that was years ago, and every so and so I wonder who that man was and why I've never seen him again. And I realized something. I think this is the same man from that vision that was wearing that eagle mask and those royal clothes, but he looked like he was ready for war, because you know how eagles, they fly high, they pick off whatever they want, and then they go on about their business. So they come out to hunt and they go back to their nest. So, and in some of my other dreams, I've advised you guys that I've dreamed of eagles. Sometimes I had vision of hawks. So it's very significant. And I also want to say, the man, if you guys know, there's an Ethiopian king. I think he was a king in the 30s. I think his name was Selassie. The Jamaicans are very familiar with him. He donated a large piece of land called, I think it's Shashamani in Ethiopia, for those that wanted to return to Africa way back in the day. But this man, his face reminds me of that Selassie. It's not exactly the same, but he looks very similar. Even his hair looks similar, like the hairstyle, the clothes that he was wearing like royal clothes. And so anyway, I stopped focusing on the book after a certain amount of time, because this man, I'm not sure what was going on. I don't know if this book belonged to this man, but this man, I'm almost 100% sure, was the same man that I had a vision of 2, 3, 4 years ago. I'm almost 100% sure, but now he's changed his clothes and he was not smiling at this point in time. It's like he's prepared for war. So if you guys remember, maybe a couple of weeks ago, I made a video about how, a lot of books have been taken out of the Bible. And I don't know if this has something to do with that, but I was there with an Israelite woman who had tried to purchase some type of book, and more than 50% of it had been ripped out and it had been repackaged and sold to her as new. But she happened to have the original copy, which was much larger and had much more information. And she felt like she had been cheated. So it's almost like she had woken up or something. So all that being said to say, I'm not sure what the name Luca means. I don't know if it's Luke. This man, I'm not sure what that means right now. I am going to continue to pray for interpretation and understanding. But if you guys have any suggestions, or if you're praying for interpretation, please let me know what you think. I'm pretty sure the man in the eagle mask was something about being ready for war, and he might be picking off people and getting rid of them. It was like a prey type thing. But he had changed from when I saw him years ago. He was serious then, but he had a different aura. Now he's very serious, and he seems like he's protecting something. So anyway, if you guys have any questions or concerns or anything, or if you have anything to add, please let me know. I definitely like to know if you guys have any interpretations. All right, thank you very much.